Hey y'all, how are you doing? It is a beautiful, beautiful day here in North Texas. It's pretty windy, but that's pretty normal for where we live in Texas, in Wichita Falls. I wanted to make this video today because I am doing something that I normally like to do really early in the season. So I wasn't really planning on doing any like seed starting this year. We are really late in the year for that. Actually, it's already May, and I didn't do any because we thought we were going to be moving to Washington State in March, and so I've got some friends though who are getting their garden beds together, and I figured I would gift them with some new plants. It's going to be a little bit before they can really get anything in the ground, so hopefully by then these will be germinated and ready for them to take. I always love helping out my new garden friends, and it gives me something fun to do because, let's face it, I just love being out in my garden. So if you guys want to see what I'm going to be getting started in these starter pots, stay tuned. Alright, so I actually just kind of want to show you guys before I get anything started what my method for my madness is. As you can see down here, I have a lot of little starter pots filled with potting soil. And this way everything will drain really well, but it will also hold the water nicely, and we don't have to worry about anything getting too soggy. So I went ahead and started all of these with a potting soil, and I actually already started some of these pots, and what I'm doing is I'm basically just writing on the outside of them with a silver Sharpie. I didn't have tape or anything like that. I was going to tape them so that they could be reused, but you know, we could always just scribble them out and write on the other side. These are all from starts I have gotten in the past, and I probably have a whole huge section of them still out in my shed, so this is only a small portion of what I actually have to use. But as you can see, I've started some white patty pan squash. I started some for a friend, and then I also started some for myself just in case mine that I planted turns out not to be a white patty pan. I love the patty pan, so I really want one. I have dark green zucchini, and then I also started the straight neck yellow squash. I have a few of these as well. So I've started all of those. And as you can see over here, there's this little plant. I know this plant keeps popping up in all my videos. It's kind of funny actually, but it is a morning glory that I got out of my front flower bed. I'm gifting it to a friend because I pulled all my trellises. That's what my girls wanted me to plant last year. And so we had really beautiful morning glories all over our trellis last year, but since I pulled all my trellises, I don't really have anywhere to grow that, so I'm gifting it to my friend and keeping it alive until she's able to come pick it up. So I want to show y'all what I use. I'm just going to stick it right here. All right, there we go. I want to show y'all what I'm using to hold on my seeds for now, and I'm sure I will outgrow this because I have a lot of stuff coming from in my gardener that still hasn't gotten here. But this is kind of what I'm using for right now. I just used this photo keeper box from Michael's. And always wait until these go on sale because they're so expensive if they're not on sale. And then I just took a little embossing label maker, as you can see right there, and labeled each of these kind of in a way that would work for me. So I've got tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, melons, pumpkins, squash, herbs, onions, greens, broccoli, peas, beans, flowers, all sorts of things. This is where I'm pulling all of my seeds from, and like I said, I'm sure I'll outgrow it at some point, but for right now it does the trick for me. I was trying to think of another plant that would be great to plant right now since I already planted my squash, and one of those ones is the okra. So I planted the Clemson spineless okra, which I need to put back in this one right here. And I forgot, I actually have these already in here as well. They are, which one are they in? They're in these. So I have my Clemson spineless okra in those. As I was looking through my seeds, I realized I didn't plant a whole lot of herbs this year. I do have dill, but I always love to grow basil. And so I think I'm going to start some basil. Now, I could always go to the store and get some basil, but I feel like there's something so satisfying growing basil from seeds. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Let's find some pots here. Oh, and oregano. I don't know if I said that. I'm going to also grow some Italian oregano, some Italian basil, and then some sweet basil. So I'm not trying to start a whole bunch of these plants because I don't have a lot of space to grow things out. So I'm going to only do one pot per plant, and I can always thin them out a little bit. So we're going to do Italian oregano in this one. We're going to do Italian basil in this one. And just get another white one. We're going to do sweet basil in this one. Now, with planting seeds, my rule of thumb is that you plant them no more than 2 to 3 times the size of the seed, and that's how far down you want to plant them. So for Italian oregano, something that's really teeny tiny, I'm just going to sprinkle them on top of the starter soil here and then just water them in very lightly so that they don't get pushed too far into that soil. Alright, I'm just going to take a few of these, which is going to be really hard because they're really tiny. Ooh, that's a lot. I'm going to have oregano growing in all of these, I bet. Alright, so I've got some in my hand, and I'm just going to sprinkle that on top. Alright, and that's all I'm going to do with that. And then I will water this in a little while. The next one I have is Italian basil. Now these seeds are a little bit bigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm literally just going to take the seed and just barely push it down a little bit and move just the slightest bit of soil over top of it. It really isn't going to need to be planted that deeply. So let's see, the one that we labeled right here says Italian basil. So we'll just open up this little guy right here. Now, if you want to know where I got these seeds, I will link them in the description below. So I have a few seeds here. It looks like I have 2 or 3 seeds. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put one on there and just barely push it down. And I don't mind putting 1 or 2 seeds in one start if it's something like basil, just to make sure it gets started. And that's it. Just the slightest little push down there, and that's all you need for something as small as Italian basil seed. One of our local stores here sells basil starts every year. It's actually a grocery store. And so I usually just get the starts from there. All right, I'm gonna pour a couple out into my hand, and they're about the same size. It looks like I've got about 3. I'll show you how teeny weeny. How teeny weeny those basil seeds are. So we're just gonna take, put one and just barely push it down. Another one. And that's all you do for basil. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and plant the rest of these out with other plants, and I will tell you what I'm planting as I'm doing it. I'm sitting here going through all my seeds, and I wasn't going to plant cucumbers this year because I pulled my trellises down, but I think I'm going to take a chance and go ahead and start some, and maybe I can get my husband on board on putting at least one of the trellises back up in an area where maybe there's a little more shade, because cucumbers, we always have a hard time with them drying out and getting burned up with the sun, because it's just so hot here in Texas. So I think I'm going to try a couple cucumbers, maybe the National Pickling, and I have some straight 8 cucumbers, so we'll go ahead and start both of those. Well, I wasn't planning on growing peppers this year because they really love the heat, and I wasn't sure we were going to be here long enough to really get a yield from peppers, but since I'm doing it and since we may be here till I don't even know when at this point, I'm going to go ahead and grow some peppers. So let's look through my pepper collection here and see what I've got. I know I have a pimento pepper growing over there and a cubanelle pepper, so maybe we could try a bell pepper or a banana pepper. My husband likes banana peppers. I think I'm going to try to plant maybe a banana pepper because my husband likes to eat those on everything, and so that'll at least be something we're going to get a lot of use out of if I grow it. So let's go ahead and plant some banana peppers. I've got most of these planted now, and I only have a few more. I have these two, and I think these three. No, I lied. Just these two and these two that aren't planted now. So I think what I'm going to do is in these two, I'm going to start some marigolds and see if I can't get those started. I've never tried to start those before from seed. And then here, I'm going to take advantage of these two decent sized pots and start 2 more tomato plants. Maybe my friend will want some tomato plants. So let's see what I have in my flower container. Here's my marigolds that I have. I usually grow zinnias, but they take quite a while to grow here where I'm at in Texas. So I think we're just going to go with marigolds for right now. And we'll go ahead and plant these. Let me label my 2 containers here. These are the Cracker Jack mixed marigolds. And last but definitely not least, I'm going to plant a couple more tomato plants in these big pots. Let me see what I've got here. I usually grow the super sweet 100s. They're my favorite cherry tomato plant, but I don't really have anywhere to put it this year. So I think I'm going to skip out on it this year and maybe go for something more like a beefsteak type tomato. Let's see what I have in my stash. Maybe like a Brandywine tomato. I'll pull out the Brandywine. I think I'm going to do one of those. And I've already got Romas planted. I don't have Better Boys this year, Early Girls. Probably do a Brandywine. I think I'm going to start 2 Brandywine tomatoes and see how that goes. So let's go ahead and get those planted. Alright y'all, so the very last thing I'm gonna do here is just water them in very carefully because I don't want these little tiny seeds that I put in here to get pushed down really far into that soil. So I'm just gonna put my little head here on shower and just lightly water all this in. Now it's supposed to rain tonight, but these are going to be up on my porch, and the reason for that is because I want them to be safe from the rain and the wind. And unfortunately here where we're at in Texas, it just gets so stinking windy, and these will all be knocked over and all over my yard if I leave them out. So we're gonna put them up here for tonight since there's a storm. This little guy will go back out in the sun once the storm is over, but it does get a lot of indirect light up here, so that'll be okay. And then any water that goes down in this galvanized bucket, this actually was a planter all last year, well, for the last 3 years, 4 years. So there's holes in the bottom of this. Any water that goes in there is going to drain out, so I don't have to worry about mosquitoes or anything like that. So that's a nice thing about watering and having these in here, so they don't get blown away with the wind. But let me go ahead and finish watering these in, and I will see you guys in just a minute. All right, y'all, well, thank you so much for joining me while I planted out some of these seeds today. I'm really excited. I hope they do well and that my friends get lots of plants, and that maybe I can grow some plants that I wasn't thinking I was going to be able to have this year, like those cucumbers. And now all I have to do is convince my husband to put the trellises back up that I just made him take down last month. So y'all wish me luck, and till next time.